What if Robb Stark married Daenerys Targaryen? Part 2. Let's explore the depths of it in the video. King's Landing, the day of King Joffrey's wedding to Margaery Tyrell. The feast was a spectacle of excess. Musicians played, acrobats performed, and the guests gorged themselves on delicacies from across the Seven Kingdoms. Joffrey sat at the high table, drunk on wine and power, tormenting his uncle Tyrion for the amusement of the crowd. Tyrion Lannister endured the humiliation with gritted teeth, pouring wine for the boy king, while Sansa watched from nearby, her face carefully neutral despite the horror in her eyes. Joffrey demanded more wine, and threatened that if he were to spill it this time, he'd have him licking it off the floor. The crowd laughed cruelly. Tyrion poured, his hand steady despite his rage. Then Joffrey took a drink from his cup, and another. His face suddenly went red, then purple. He clawed at his throat, gasping for air that wouldn't come.
Joffrey, someone help him. Help my son.
But it was too late. The boy king collapsed, convulsing on the ground, foam bubbling from his lips. Within moments, Joffrey Baratheon was dead. Chaos erupted. Cersei screamed accusations, pointing at Tyrion with a shaking finger.
Him. He poisoned my son. Seize him. Seize the imp.
Tyrion's mind raced. He knew instantly that this was a setup. Someone had poisoned Joffrey and arranged for him to take the blame. And Sansa, who'd have all the reason to kill the king, would be implicated as well. He looked around frantically for his wife and spotted her being quietly led away by Sir Dontos Hollard, the fool, toward a side exit. Guards were already moving toward him, but Tyrion was faster. He ran as fast as his short legs could carry him, dodging between panicking guests and overturned tables. He tumbled down a small hill into the gardens, rolling right in front of Sansa and Dontos.
Sansa, wait. Don't go with him.
Tyrion? What are you?
You're in danger. We both are. Whoever killed Joffrey set us up to take the fall. If you go with him, you're walking into a trap.
My lady, we must hurry. The ship is waiting.
Which ship? Whose ship? Who sent you to retrieve her?
Dontos hesitated, and Tyrion saw the truth in his eyes.
Littlefinger. It's Littlefinger, isn't it? The man who betrayed your father, Sansa. The man who sold Ned Stark to the Lannisters.
Lord Baelish. But he said he was trying to help me.
And now Joffrey is conveniently dead, and you're being spirited away to God knows where. Think, Sansa. Whoever killed Joffrey did it for power. Littlefinger always plays for power. If you go with him, you'll become his pawn.
Sansa looked between Tyrion and Dontos, her mind racing. Everything Tyrion said made horrible sense.
Then what do we do?
We run. Both of us. We flee north to your brother. Robb won't execute me if I bring you home safely. It's our only chance.
How do we even get out of the city?
I know people. Bronn owes me a favor. We can make it to the docks. Find a ship headed north. But we have to go now, before Cersei's guards lock down every gate.
Fine. I'm coming with you.
But my lady...
Tell Lord Baelish I chose my family over his schemes.
They ran into the night, leaving chaos behind them. Winterfell's courtyard was organized chaos as the Northmen army prepared to march for the wall. Wagons are loaded with supplies. Horses were saddled, and the Unsullied stood in perfect formation awaiting orders. Robb stood with Daenerys, reviewing supply lists, when the guards at the gate shouted,
"Riders approaching. 2 of them. And one's a dwarf."
Robb's hand went instinctively to his sword, but when he saw her, Sansa riding a horse far too large for her auburn hair streaming behind her, and beside her Tyrion Lannister, looking exhausted and travel-worn.
"Sansa!"
He ran across the courtyard, pulling his sister from her horse into a fierce embrace. Catelyn appeared from the keep, screaming her daughter's name, and suddenly the whole family was there. Arya, Bran, Rickon, all crowding around Sansa with tears and laughter.
I'm home. I'm finally home.
I can't believe it. I thought I'd never see you again.
The sisters held each other, both crying openly. For a moment, all the war and death and pain faded away. The pack was together. Then Robb noticed Tyrion, still sitting on his horse, watching the reunion with a mixture of relief and wariness.
Lord Tyrion, this is unexpected.
Tyrion dismounted carefully, his legs clearly sore from the long ride.
Your Grace, I understand this looks suspicious, a Lannister appearing at your gates with your sister, but I assure you, I have explanations. Then explain quickly. Joffrey is dead, poisoned at his own wedding. Someone, I suspect, Littlefinger, arranged to implicate both myself and Sansa. We fled before we could be arrested and executed. I brought her here because it was the only safe place I could think of.
He saved my life, Robb. He could have escaped alone, but he came back for me. He got us out of King's Landing while Littlefinger's men were trying to take me.
Robb studied Tyrion carefully, seeing genuine exhaustion and fear in the dwarf's eyes.
You could have fled to Essos, started a new life far from all this. Why come here? You know I have every reason to hate your family. Because there's nothing left for me in King's Landing. My father despises me. My sister just tried to frame me for murder, and the Lannister name is more burden than benefit. I'm asking for asylum, Your Grace, and offering my services in return.
What services could you possibly offer me?
I know the Lannisters, their tactics, their weaknesses, their resources. I know King's Landing's defenses. I'm passably skilled in strategy and excellent with finances. And most importantly, I just committed what my family will consider the ultimate betrayal. I have nowhere else to go.
You saved his sister when you could have saved yourself. That speaks to your character.
Or stupidity. I haven't quite decided which yet.
He's telling the truth, Robb. He risked everything to get me out.
Then welcome to the North, Lord Tyrion. Your counsel is accepted. But betray us, and there won't be a hole deep enough for you to hide in.
Perfectly understandable. Now, might I trouble someone for a very large cup of wine? It's been a trying few weeks.
As servants took Tyrion to get food and rest, Robb pulled Sansa aside.
We're marching to the wall. Jon sent word. There's some threat coming from beyond. Something ancient and terrible.
Then I'm coming with you.
No. You're staying here with Mother and Arya. Winterfell needs to be held, and I need you safe.
I'm not a child anymore, Robb. I survived King's Landing. I survived Joffrey.
I know you can. But please, Sansa, let me do this. Let me protect what's left of our family. Stay here. Be safe.
Be careful. Come back to us.
I will. I promise.
The combined army that marched to Castle Black was the largest force assembled in living memory. 20,000 Northmen, 8,000 Unsullied, 3,000 Dothraki, and 3 dragons flying overhead. They arrived to find Castle Black already under siege, but not by wildlings. Stannis Baratheon had arrived first with his knights and forces from Dragonstone, the wildling army. Mance raiders, 100,000. They lay scattered and defeated across the field. Stannis' cavalry had routed them decisively. Jon Snow stood on the wall, watching Robb's army approach, and felt a relief wash over him. His brother had come. The North had answered. But when Robb's forces arrived and he dismounted to greet Jon, they found Stannis Baratheon waiting in Castle Black's courtyard, his face set in its perpetual scowl.
So, the usurper king in the North arrives, and he brings a Targaryen usurper with him. How convenient.
Robb's hand went to his sword, but Daenerys placed a calming hand on his arm.
Lord Stannis, we're here to fight the real enemy, not each other.
I am the rightful king of the Seven Kingdoms, Robert's heir. You're a Targaryen exile with stolen dragons. And you, Stark, you're a rebel who's declared independence from the rightful crown. Explain to me why I shouldn't arrest you both. Because you failed, and because there are more important things happening right now than your claim to a throne. My claim? My claim? I'm the eldest surviving Baratheon. The throne is mine by every law.
Your brother stole it from my family. I have a better claim.
The tension ratcheted higher. Stannis' knights moved their hands to their swords. The northern forces did the same. Bloodshed seemed inevitable. Then Jon Snow stepped forward, his voice cutting through the anger.
Enough! All of you! Enough!
Everyone turned to look at the Lord Commander, who stood with Ghost at his side, his face carved with exhaustion and frustration.
You want to fight over a throne? Fine. Do it after we've survived what's coming. Because right now, beyond the wall, there's an army of the dead. Actual dead people walking around, killing everything in their path. They don't care who's king. They don't care about your claims or your pride. They just want to kill us all. If you fight each other now, we all die. Every man, woman, and child in Westeros. Because that's what the White Walkers will do if we don't stand together. So put aside your grievances, swallow your pride, and help me defend the realms of men. Or go home and wait for the dead to come for you there.
The silence that followed was profound. Then, from above, came the sound of massive wings. 3 dragons descended. Drogon landed behind Daenerys as expected, his massive black form a clear statement of her power. But then Rhaegal, the green and bronze dragon, landed near Jon Snow and did something extraordinary. The dragon approached Jon slowly, sniffing at him with obvious curiosity. Then Rhaegal lowered his head and pressed against Jon's chest, making a sound almost like a purr.
What is he doing?
He's never done that with anyone but me. It's like he recognizes you somehow.
Then Viserion, the cream and gold dragon, landed near Stannis. The king's hand went to his sword immediately.
Keep your beast away from me, Targaryen.
But Viserion didn't attack. Instead, the dragon lowered his head submissively, whimpering softly as he pressed his snout against Stannis' chest. Stannis stood frozen, his sword half drawn, utterly bewildered. Melisandre, the Red Priestess who accompanied Stannis north, gasped audibly.
The Lord of Light has shown me truth. The dragons recognize their own blood.
What are you talking about, woman?
Your grandmother was Rhaella Targaryen. The dragon senses the blood of old Valyria flowing through your veins.
Daenerys approached slowly, studying both Jon and Stannis with new interest.
The dragons don't bond with just anyone. If they're reacting to you like this, there must be Targaryen blood in you. Both of you.
That's impossible. I'm Ned Stark's bastard.
Are you? The flames have shown me mysteries about your birth, Jon Snow. Secrets that Ned Stark took to his grave.
The cryptic words hung in the air, but there was no time to pursue them. The moment of tension had passed, replaced by wonder and possibility.
Whatever the truth of your bloodlines, the dragons have chosen you. If willing, I'll teach you both to ride. 3 dragon riders are better than 1.
Stannis looked at the dragon still pressed against him, then at Robb and Daenerys.
I came north because Melisandre said my destiny was here. Perhaps this is what she meant. Very well. A temporary alliance. We face the dead together. After that, we can resume arguing about thrones.
Agreed. The living come first.
With their temporary alliance forged and tensions eased by the dragon's unexpected bonding, Jon and Robb turned to the next crucial task. Ravens were sent to every corner of Westeros, to Casterly Rock, to Highgarden, to Sunspear. The messages were identical and urgent.
We have captured proof of the threat beyond the wall. Come to Castle Black and see the truth with your own eyes. What marches south will destroy us all if we do not stand together. This is not a request. This is a warning. Jon Snow, Lord Commander of the Night's Watch.
The boldness of the claim, that they possessed actual living proof of White Walkers, was enough to compel even the most skeptical lords to investigate. Lord Tywin Lannister, ever pragmatic, recognized that such a claim wouldn't be made lightly. Olenna Tyrell, curious and sharp-minded, couldn't resist seeing what could possibly unite the fractious North with Stannis Baratheon, and Prince Doran Martell, always cautious but thorough, sent Oberyn as his representative to witness the supposed impossibility. Within a fortnight, representatives from the great houses began arriving at Castle Black, each expecting to expose a northern hoax or political maneuver. What they found instead would shatter every assumption they held about the world. Jon led them deeper into the ice cells beneath Castle Black, where something impossible waited in chains. The White Walker stood nearly 7 feet tall, its skin pale as ice, its eyes glowing blue with unnatural light. Even chained and bound with dragonglass-tipped restraints, it radiated cold and menace. Tywin Lannister, who'd arrived via Raven's summon with Olenna Tyrell, stared at the creature with undisguised horror.
7 hells. It's real.
Olenna, despite her age and experience, looked shaken.
I lived 70 years and seen many things, but this changes everything.
Finally, an enemy worth fighting. Something that can't be bought, seduced, or poisoned. I like it. This is what's coming. Thousands of them. With an army of dead men that can't be killed except by fire or dragonglass. If they break through the wall, they'll sweep across Westeros like a plague. We can't stop them alone. We need every sword, every soldier, every kingdom united.
In Dorne, Prince Doran Martell read the Raven's message and immediately summoned his forces.
Send word to every castle in Dorne. We march north with every spear we can muster. This threat is real, and we will not hide while the world ends.
In King's Landing, Tywin and Olenna held a private council after seeing the captured walker.
The threat is real. If we don't act, we're condemning everyone to death.
But if we join them, we're surrendering any claim to power. Your grandson is dead. The North has dragons and the largest army in Westeros. We can't win, Tywin.
I'm aware, but consider the alternative. If we fight them, we lose and die. If we ignore the threat beyond the wall, we'll all die anyway. But if we join them now, pledge our forces, at least we can keep our lives and our lands.
You're suggesting we surrender?
I am suggesting we be pragmatic. The Boy King has dragons and the loyalty of half of Westeros. His wife is a Targaryen with a legitimate claim, and they're offering us a way out of this that lets us keep our lands.
You've changed, Tywin. The old you would have fought to the bitter end.
The old me didn't have to face dragons and the dead. Pride is worthless when you're extinct.
Then we join them. We save our grandchildren and our houses. The rest can be sorted out later.
The armies assembled at the wall. The North, the Unsullied, the Dothraki, Stannis' forces, the Tyrells, the Lannisters, even the Dornish, and the Wildlings, Mance Raiders 100,000, who'd been given safe passage through the wall in exchange for fighting. It was the largest army ever gathered in Westeros, and it barely felt like enough. Jon stood beside Robb on the wall, looking out at the assembled forces.
I never thought I'd see Northmen fighting alongside Lannisters and Wildlings. Desperate times. How long until they come? Hours, maybe less. The scouts report the dead are moving faster now. Like they sense the living gathering here. Then we'll be ready.
Tyrion approached, somehow looking both terrified and determined.
Your Grace, I've distributed the dragonglass weapons as widely as possible. Every man has at least a dagger, but there aren't enough for everyone.
Then we'll have to rely on fire and the dragons.
The whites emerged from the forests beyond the wall like a tide of rotting flesh and frozen death. 200,000 corpses, moving with unnatural coordination, climbing over each other to reach the living. Their eyes glowed with that terrible blue light, and the sound they made, not quite a moan, not quite a scream, chilled the blood of even the bravest warriors. And behind them, riding dead horses wreathed in frost, came the White Walkers, a dozen of them, tall and terrible, their army seeming carved from frozen starlight. At their head rode the Night King himself, crowned with ice, his presence radiating cold so intense that the frost formed on the wall itself where he passed. Jon stood on the wall beside Robb, watching the horde appear, and felt genuine fear for the first time since Ned's execution.
Gods, there's so many of them. Then we'll kill them all, together.
The Night's Watch archers loosed their first volley, dragonglass-tipped arrows that found dead flesh and dropped whites by the dozen. But for every one that fell, 10 more took its place. The battle began in earnest. Trenches filled with wildfire ignited, creating walls of green flame that consumed the first wave of whites. The dead walked through the fire, burning but not stopping, their skeletal forms collapsing only when the flames had reduced them to ash. The wildlings, led by Tormund Giantsbane, fought with savage fury at the wall's base.
Come on, you frozen bastards! Is that all of you've got?
His massive axe cleaved through white after white, each swing accompanied by a roar of defiance. Beside him, wildling warriors fought with clubs, spears, and axes, their intimate knowledge of cold and death serving them well. The Unsullied held the center line with mechanical precision, their formation unbreakable even against overwhelming numbers. Grey Worm's voice rang out across the field.
Hold! Shields locked! Spears forward!
They moved as one organism, a wall of shields and spears that the whites broke against the waves on the cliff. Each thrust was perfectly timed, each movement coordinated. The dead piled up before them, but the Unsullied never wavered. On the left flank, the Northmen fought for their homeland. The Great Jon wielded his massive sword with brutal efficiency, each swing taking heads and limbs.
For Winterfell! For the North! For the Stark!
Dothraki screamed their war cries and charged on horseback, their aurochs flashing in the firelight as they cut through the dead. And incredibly, even the Lannisters, fighting beside their old enemies, held their positions. Tywin Lannister himself stood in the battle line, his sword bloody, his legendary composure tested but not broken. A white lunged at him, and he dispatched it with a clinical efficiency before moving to the next. Then the dragons entered the fray. Daenerys soared overhead on Drogon, the black dragon's shadow covering the battlefield like a storm cloud.
Dracarys!
Fire erupted from the dragon's mouth, a torrent of destruction that turned entire companies of whites into ash in seconds. The smell of burning flesh filled the air as hundreds of the dead were incinerated. Jon rode Rhaegal, sweeping the left flank with precisely directed dragonfire. The green and bronze dragons responded to his commands as if they'd been bonded for years, his flames creating a barrier that the whites could not cross. And Stannis Baratheon, looking grimly determined on Viserion's back, cleared the right flank with systematic efficiency.
Burn them! Burn them all!
The cream and gold dragon obeyed, fire turning the right side of the battlefield into an inferno. Tywin Lannister, fighting on the ground, looked up to see Stannis Baratheon, the man who'd besieged King's Landing, riding a dragon and unleashing destruction on the enemies of mankind. He breathed a single word.
Impossible.
Oberyn Martell fought nearby, his spear a blur as he danced through the whites with deadly grace. He laughed even in the midst of carnage.
Nothing's impossible today, old lion. We're fighting the dead alongside dragons. Embrace it.
He spun his dragonglass-tipped spear, puncturing through a white skull, then immediately thrust it through another's chest. The battle raged for hours. The dead kept coming, relentless and unstoppable, their numbers seemingly endless. Warriors fell, brave men and women who'd never imagined dying fighting corpses. But for every one who fell, 10 more stepped forward to take their place. The living held, barely. Then Jon saw him, the Night King, standing at the back of his army on his dead horse, watching the battlefield with those terrible blue eyes. He made no move to join the fight, simply observed with the patience of someone that had existed for millennia. Jon pulled Rhaegal around, his voice cutting through the battle noise.
There's the leader, the Night King.
Robb, fighting on the ground, looked up and saw the ancient evil that commanded the dead.
Can the dragons kill him? Only one way to find out. Daenerys, Stannis, with me.
3 dragon riders converged on the Night King, who watched them approach with something that might have been amusement. He raised one hand, and the temperature dropped so suddenly that men's breath froze in their lungs. Ice spears materialized in the air around him, massive javelins of frozen death, each one large enough to kill a dragon. He hurled the first at Viserion with inhuman strength. Stannis saw it coming and pulled hard on the reins.
Dive!
Viserion barrel-rolled, the ice spear missing by inches and shattering against the wall behind them, leaving a crater in the ancient ice.
We need to ground him. Force him to fight.
They dove together, perfectly coordinated despite having trained only for days. Dragons unleashed fire from 3 directions, creating a triangle of destruction focused on the Night King. But the ancient creature was fast, impossibly fast. He moved with fluid grace, his dead horse responding to unspoken commands, dodging dragonfire that should have been unavoidable. Drogon's flames forced him to veer left. Rhaegal's fire cut off the escape. Viserion's breath blocked his retreat. For a moment, the Night King was trapped. In that instant, Jon made his decision. He unstrapped himself from the saddle and leaped.
Jon, no!
But he was already falling. Longclaw, his Valyrian steel sword held ready. He hit the ground hard, rolling to absorb the impact, and came up running toward the Night King. The ancient evil dismounted from his dead horse with liquid grace, drawing a blade that seemed carved from a glacier itself, longer than any sword, glowing with inner cold, radiating death.
For the Watch! For the living!
Their blades met with a sound like thunder, steel against ice, mortal against immortal. The impact sent shockwaves rippling across the frozen ground, cracking the ice beneath their feet. The Night King was stronger, far stronger than any human should be. Each blow felt like being hit with a boulder, but Jon was faster, his youth and desperation giving him speed that centuries couldn't match. They traded strikes, a deadly dance of death. The Night King's blade came within inches of Jon's throat, his head, his heart, each time missing by a hair's breadth. Jon countered, Longclaw seeking gaps in the ancient armor, finding nothing but air and ice. Around them, the battle continued, but it felt distant, muffled. This was what mattered. This single combat would determine everything. The Night King swept his blade low, trying to take Jon's legs. Jon jumped, bringing Longclaw down in an overhead strike that the Night King barely blocked. The force of it drove both combatants back several paces. Jon's arms were shaking from the impacts. Blood seeped from a dozen minor wounds. His breath came in ragged gasps, but he couldn't stop, wouldn't stop. He thought of Ned teaching him to fight in the Winterfell training yard. He thought of Robb standing beside him through everything. He thought of all of the people depending on him, the living who would die if he failed. The Night King thrust forward, his icy blades seeking Jon's heart. At the last second, Jon remembered something Ned had taught him years ago.
Every strike is an opportunity, Jon. Even a defensive one. Watch for the opening. It's always there.
Jon didn't block. Instead, he moved inside the thrust, taking a shallow cut across his ribs in exchange for proximity. He grabbed the Night King's sword arm with his free hand and drove Longclaw up with all his remaining strength. The Valyrian steel blade punched through the ancient armor, through whatever passed for flesh beneath, straight for the Night King's chest. For the first time, the Night King's face showed emotion. Surprise, perhaps, or disbelief that a mortal could actually harm him. His mouth opened in a silent scream. Then he shattered. Like glass, like ice, like every nightmare dissolving at dawn. The Night King exploded into a million fragments, each piece dissolving into mist before it could touch the ground. His ice blade shattered with him, becoming nothing but cold air and bad dreams. Across the entire battlefield, every white, every dead soldier, every frozen corpse fell instantly. 200,000 moving corpses became 200,000 unmoving bodies in a heartbeat. The silence that followed was deafening. For a moment, nobody moved, nobody spoke. They simply stood in shock, unable to believe it was over. Then someone cheered, a single voice lost in the quiet. Another joined, then another. Within seconds, the entire army was roaring, screaming their victory to the uncaring sky. Jon stood alone where the Night King had fallen, his sword still raised, blood from a dozen wounds staining his black cloak red. His legs gave out, and he fell to his knees, exhaustion overwhelming him. Then Robb was there, having sprinted across the battlefield. He pulled his brother into a fierce embrace.
You did it! You madman! You actually did it! You killed him!
We did. All of us. Everyone who fought. Everyone who stood when they could have run. That's who killed him.
Daenerys landed Drogon nearby and rushed to them.
That was the stupidest, bravest thing I've ever seen. Don't you ever do that again.
I can't promise that.
Stannis dismounted from Viserion. with considerable less grace, but his face showed something that might have been respect.
Well fought, Lord Commander. Well fought indeed.
Around them, the armies continued to cheer. They'd won, against impossible odds, facing an enemy that couldn't die. They'd won. Humanity had survived the long night, but it cost them dearly. Thousands lay dead on the field. Northmen, wildlings, knights, unsullied, good men and women who'd given their lives so others could live. Jon looked down at the carnage and felt tears mixing with the blood on his face.
So many dead. So many more alive because of what you did. Remember that, brother. Remember them.
As dawn broke over the wall, the living began the grim task of counting their dead and tending to their wounded. The long night was over, and the world would never be the same. The negotiations took place in Winterfell's Great Hall a week after the battle. Every major house had sent representatives. The realm needed a new order, and everyone knew it.
Your Graces, House Lannister acknowledges your right to rule. We fought together against extinction. We'll survive together to rebuild.
The Reach agrees. You have the dragons, the armies, and the loyalty of the people. We're tired of fighting pointless wars. Let's build something better.
Doran Martell nodded from his wheelchair.
Then let's be clear about the terms. House Lannister keeps Castle Rock, but Cersei faces justice. She'll be sent to the Silent Sisters for the rest of her days.
Agreed.
Jaime Lannister will marry Sansa Stark. The union of our houses will ensure lasting peace.
Sansa, who'd been sitting with Arya, stood up.
I accept. If it means peace, I'll do it.
I'll be a good husband, Lady Sansa. I swear it. Stannis Baratheon will serve as Hand of the King. Sir Davos will be master of ships, and Lord Tywin, despite everything, you'll be master of coin. No one knows gold like a Lannister.
Tyrion raised his cup in salute.
I'll drink to that.
Jon Snow, you'll be legitimized as Jon Stark, but you'll remain Lord Commander if that's what you wish.
It is. My place is at the wall, protecting the realm. Then Bran will be Lord of Winterfell. He's learned much, and he'll rule well.
The arrangements continued late into the night. Every major house pledged their loyalty, their forces, and their cooperation in the new regime. The throne room had seen so much bloodshed and betrayal now, witnessed something rare. Genuine cooperation, born of shared survival.
The Seven Kingdoms will be rebuilt, not through fear or conquest, but through unity. We've seen what happens when we fight each other instead of real threats. That ends now.
Any house that serve loyally will keep their lands and titles. Any that rebel will face dragonfire. It's that simple.
The assembled lords nodded their agreement. They'd all seen what dragons can do. More importantly, they'd seen what the alternative to cooperation looked like. Frozen corpses shambling south to kill everything in their path. As the formal negotiations concluded and the lords began filing out, a commotion arose at the gates. A young man had arrived claiming an audience with the Dragon Queen. When he was brought before the throne, the assembled court fell silent. He had dark hair touched with auburn, gray-blue eyes, and features that could have been Targaryen, or could have been Blackfire, or could have been neither. His appearance was deliberately ambiguous. He bowed deeply before Robb and Daenerys.
Your Graces, my name is Aegon. I was told I'm the son of Rhaegar Targaryen and Elia Martell. Whether that's true or not, I honestly don't know anymore. I was raised by Jon Connington to believe I was the true heir, but after everything that's happened, I'm not sure it matters.
Why come here? Why not press your claim?
Because I saw what happened at the wall. I saw the realm nearly end while we all fought over a chair made of swords. I don't want that anymore. I don't want to be another claimant. Another war. Another reason for people to die. If I'm truly your nephew, then I'm honored to serve my family. I'm just a man who wants a place to belong. Either way, I'm not here to take your throne. I'm here to ask you for a home.
Robb and Daenerys exchanged glances. After a moment, Daenerys spoke.
Dragonstone needs a lord. The ancestral seat of House Targaryen has stood empty since Stannis left for the north. Whether you're truly Rhaegar's son or not, you'll have a place there. Serve the crown faithfully, and you'll always have a home.
Thank you, Your Grace. I swear I'll serve faithfully.
Stannis Baratheon stood before the throne one final time before departing.
Storm's End was my brother's seat. It should have been mine by rights. Thank you for returning it.
You earned it, Lord Stannis. You came north when it mattered most. You fought beside us. You helped us save the realm.
I came because Melisandre said it was my destiny. I thought she meant the throne, but perhaps she meant this, serving the realm rather than ruling it.
A Hand of the King is one of the most powerful positions in Westeros. You'll have influence over every decision we make.
Good. Then I'll use it to ensure we maintain discipline and order. I'll serve his hand. I'll serve faithfully. But don't expect me to smile about it or pretend this is what I wanted. I wanted the throne. I didn't get it. That's the end of it.
He gave a curt nod, the closest thing to a bow Stannis Baratheon would offer, and turned sharply on his heel, Davos following at his side.
That went well, Your Grace.
It went as it had to, said Davos. Nothing more, nothing less.
2 years later, King Robb and Queen Daenerys ruled from the Red Keep. The reconstruction of the Seven Kingdoms had been an arduous task, but successful. The war scars were healing, slowly but surely. Their twin children, a boy named Eddard and a girl named Lyanna, brought new life and hope to the castle that had so much death. Little Eddard had his father's auburn hair and his mother's violet eyes, while Lyanna had silver gold hair and her father's gray-blue eyes. The realm prospered under their joint rule. The Lannisters and Starks, once bitter enemies, worked together to rebuild what war had destroyed. Jaime and Sansa's marriage had produced an heir, a boy named Ned, creating a living bridge between the two great houses. At Casterly Rock, Tywin Lannister managed the realm's finances with his usual efficiency. Though age had mellowed him slightly, he'd seen too much death, fought too many wars. Now, his final years, he focused on ensuring House Lannister's legacy was one of service rather than treachery. In Winterfell, Bran Stark ruled as Lord of the North, with wisdom beyond his years. Arya Stark refused all marriage proposals and instead traveled the world, exploring lands beyond Westeros, always returning home with stories of distant places and strange peoples. Sandor Clegane accompanied her on many of these journeys, the unlikely pair becoming legendary in tavern tales. The wildlings settled peacefully in the Gift, their fierce warriors becoming traders and farmers. Tormund Giantsbane served as their representative to the crown, and his friendship with Jon Snow became the stuff of legends, two men from different worlds who found brotherhood in shared struggle. At Dragonstone, Aegon, whether Targaryen or Blackfyre, none would ever truly know, ruled justly and well. He married a minor noblewoman from the Stormlands and raised a family in peace, content to be lord rather than king. The question of his true parentage became a historical curiosity rather than a source of conflict. Tyrion Lannister served as Master of Whispers, his intelligence network ensuring no threat could catch the realm unprepared again. He'd found purpose in protecting rather than serving, and though he still drank too much, he did so in the company of friends rather than in bitter solitude. And on the wall, Jon Snow, Jon Stark now, legitimized but still devoted in the Night's Watch, watched the northern horizon with Ghost at his side. The long night was over, the White Walkers destroyed, but the wall remained, because threats would always come from somewhere, and the realm needed protectors. He often thought about what Master Aemon had once told him. Love is death and duty, but Jon had found a way to love his family while still serving the realm. He visited Winterfell every year, rode dragons with Daenerys when she flew north, and trained with Robb to keep both their skills sharp. The realm had been saved not by prophecy or destiny, but by people choosing to work together instead of tearing each other apart. The wolf and the dragon had shown them it was possible. Winter would come again. It always did. But when it came, the Seven Kingdoms would stand united, ready to face whatever darkness emerged from the frozen north. That's our theory. Westeros is a land full of exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you'd like to join us on this journey across the Seven Kingdoms and beyond, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.